Disney has been busy adapting some of its classic animated films into live-action features. Some of these adaptations have received rave reviews from fans, while others have been a bit problematic. Hey folks, and welcome to The Binger! We all know that some parts of animated classics don't always translate to live-action films. However, some of these changes have met with some harsh criticism from fans. Today we're going to look at the 25 changes Disney made to their live-action adaptations that nobody asked for. Also, this video will contain massive spoilers for both the animated and live-action versions of these films. Jasmine's best friend? Aladdin. In the 1992 Disney animated film Aladdin, Princess Jasmine had only one confidant she could trust, her pet tiger Raja. Not only was Jasmine the lead female character, but she was also the only female character. The 2019 live-action remake sought to give Jasmine some human companionship. Instead of a Bengal tiger, Jasmine's best friend in the remake is Dahlia, played by SNL alum Nasim Perdad, a handmaiden who grew up with the princess. Actress Naomi Scott, who plays Jasmine, told Elite Daily about the importance of the Dahlia character. So we wanted people to watch the movie and see Jasmine's relationship with another woman, and be like, ah, that's what I'm like with my girlfriend. That's something that's missing from the animation. Color changes. The Lion King. The Lion King was released in 1994 and has been considered a classic of animation for a quarter of a century. Director Jon Favreau sought to bring the story into the new century with some of the most stunning CGI effects ever rendered. However, what the 2019 remake gained in photorealism, it lost in its color and vibrancy, according to some critics. Vanity Fair film critic K. Austin Collins compared the dull color palette to an early aughts movie about war in the Middle East. Fans can especially note the differences in some of the film's bigger musical numbers, including I Just Can't Wait to Be King and Hakuna Matata. Belle is an inventor, Beauty and the Beast. The 1991 animated feature Beauty and the Beast showed an inventive retelling of the classic fairy tale. In the 2018 live-action remake, Disney took that reinvention one step further. In the original, Belle's father Maurice was an eccentric inventor, while Belle was the bookish beauty. In the remake, Belle was recast as the inventor, while Maurice was a maker of music boxes. Emma Watson, who played Belle in the remake, told Entertainment Weekly in 2016 about the change. So we created a backstory for her, which was that she had invented a kind of washing machine, so that instead of doing laundry, she could sit and use that time to read instead. So yeah, we made Belle an inventor. Prince Charming gets a name, Cinderella. Prince Charming from Cinderella has always been less of a name and more of an archetype. He's handsome, he rides a white horse, he's a prince, he's charming, well, you get the idea. Despite his looks, his title, and his wealth, there's one thing that Prince Charming has never had: a first name. Director Kenneth Branagh decided to fix that situation in the 2015 live-action remake. He named the prince Kit. Richard Madden, who played Robb Stark in HBO's Game of Thrones, also played Prince Kit. Madden gave much of the credit for his take on the character to Branagh. He told Radio Times, "A lot of my prince is based on him, Branagh, and he's the ultimate gentleman." No more talking animals. Dumbo. Director Tim Burton is known for his creative takes on popular characters, such as 1989's Batman and its 1992 sequel, Batman Returns. In 2019, Burton took the reins on the live-action adaptation of the 1941 Disney animated classic Dumbo. Instead of simply remaking the original, Burton changed much of the story. While the original focused on Dumbo and his animal companions, Burton's version focused more on how the pachyderm related to the human characters. Fans were upset at the loss of Timothy Q. Mouse, Dumbo's best friend and mentor in the original. Instead, Burton tells much of the story through the two Harrier children, who work in the circus and care for the floppy-eared flyer. Character changes. Alice in Wonderland. Burton has also been known for his fantastical style in films like 2003's Big Fish and 2005's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. He brought this style to another Disney adaptation, 2010's Alice in Wonderland. Burton cast frequent collaborator Helena Bonham Carter as the Red Queen, a mashup of the Queen of Hearts from the original and the Red Queen in Through the Looking Glass. Burton also added the White Queen, played by Anne Hathaway. While the White Queen played a role in Lewis Carroll's 1865 novel, the character does not appear in the Disney animated feature. Not only did Burton change many of the characters, but he also removed much of the music, including the Unbirthday song and All in the Golden Afternoon. Genie gets a love interest, Aladdin. In the original film from 1992, the genie made it his mission to help Aladdin win the love of Princess Jasmine. In the 2019 remake, the genie gets a love interest of his own, Jasmine's handmaiden Dahlia. As Aladdin poses as Prince Ali, the genie takes on human form and poses as the prince's aide. This change allows for a romantic subplot between Dahlia and Will Smith's genie. So, a romantic subplot within the romantic main plot. This subplot also changes the ending from the original. When Aladdin grants his big blue friend his freedom in the live-action version, the genie chooses to remain human, marry Dahlia, and start a family. Facial fails, The Lion King. One of the hallmarks of the original Lion King is the wide range of facial expressions the animators give each character. From young Simba's wide smile to the hyena's sinister sneers, each character displays highly expressive facial features. One of the complaints leveled at director Jon Favreau's 2019 remake is that the photorealistic CGI may have been too realistic. What the film gained in realistic facial features for each character, it inevitably sacrificed in variety of facial expressions available. Favreau reportedly said he didn't do any facial motion capture on the voice actors so that he could maintain the realistic nature of the animals' appearances. Gaston? A hero? Beauty and the Beast. In the original Beauty and the Beast, the antagonist Gaston may have been the poster child for toxic masculinity before the term was ever invented. He was loud, rude, self-absorbed, and completely in love with himself. In the live-action remake, he's still all of those things, but with a backstory to explain why. Director Bill Condon changed the character so that he saved the village from invaders at the age of 16. Later, Gaston would go on to be a war hero and celebrity in the small town of Villeneuve. Actor Luke Evans told Entertainment Weekly that he saw the character not as a villain, but as a broken human being with possible PTSD. Evil stepmother gets a backstory, Cinderella. Another Disney villain who gets a tragic backstory is Lady Tremaine, better known as the wicked stepmother in the 2015 live-action remake of Cinderella. In the original, Lady Tremaine's hatred of Cinderella stemmed from her jealousy of her stepdaughter, without much more explanation. In the remake, Lady Tremaine, played by Oscar winner Cate Blanchett, had to marry the girl's father to support her daughters. The new relationship, combined with having to compete with the memory of Ella's mother, drives her toward wicked stepmotherhood. She fires the servants, forces her stepdaughter out of her room, and makes her clean the chimneys, hence the name Cinderella. No pink elephants on parade. Dumbo. The original Dumbo featured one of the most imaginative visual sequences in a Disney film, the pink elephants on parade. In that sequence, a group of clowns celebrates their show with a bottle of champagne, some of which falls into Dumbo's water bucket. Dumbo and Timothy B. Mouse taste a little bit of the bubbly and start seeing pink elephants dance across the room. Director Tim Burton subverts this sequence by having circus ringleader Max Medici, played by Danny DeVito, tell the clowns not to bring the bubbly around the baby. Instead, the pink elephants appear as soap bubbles in the Dreamland show operated by V.A. Vanderveer, played by Michael Keaton. Wacky Jabberwocky, Alice in Wonderland. Another change Burton made to a Disney classic, this time to Alice in Wonderland, was to make Alice an action heroine. In both Carol's novel and the original animated feature, Alice's main objective was to escape Wonderland and return home. Carol's sequel to Alice Through the Looking Glass featured a nonsense poem titled Jabberwocky. The poem mentioned creatures such as Borogroves, Bandersnatch, and the Jabberwock. In Burton's version, Alice must use a magic sword to fight a dragon-like Jabberwocky alongside a cat-like Bandersnatch. Some fans found that the climactic chessboard battle often bore more resemblance to Tolkien's Lord of the Rings than Carol's children's classic. Jafar's backstory, Aladdin. Jafar, the Grand Vizier of Agrabah and most trusted advisor to the Sultan, was one of Disney's most captivating villains. In the animated feature, Jafar comes across as ambitious, devious, and power-hungry. His only motivation is to seize power, whether it be the Sultan's political power or the phenomenal cosmic power of the genie. In Guy Ritchie's live-action adaptation, Jafar's motivations go a bit deeper. Ritchie's version shows that Jafar's ambition comes from frustration at being only the second most powerful person in Agrabah. Also, in his youth, Jafar was as much of a street rat as Aladdin. Jafar tells Aladdin, "I was once like you, a common thief, only I thought bigger." Scar and SARABI, The Lion King. At least one change director Jon Favreau made to the original Lion King received a warm reception from fans. In the original, a deleted scene in the home video release showed Scar seeking a mate with whom he could prolong his lineage. His target in that scene, young Nala, Simba's friend and eventual mate. The live-action version removes this creepy scene. Instead, the story implies that Scar and Mufasa were once romantic rivals for SARABI, Simba's mother. SARABI eventually chose Mufasa, but Scar harbored a grudge for years. Mufasa also kept SARABI in the dark about their sibling rivalry over her, which led Scar to resent his brother even more. Maestro, if you please, Beauty and the Beast. One of the most endearing aspects of the animated Beauty and the Beast, according to some fans, was the characterization of the household items. Mrs. Potts, Chip, Lumiere, and Cogsworth were some of the most vital and memorable characters in the film. The director and writers of the film kept many of the classic characters while adding a few more to the menagerie. Instead of the organ Maestro Forte, voiced by the legendary Tim Curry, they created Maestro Cadenza, played by Stanley Tucci. They also crafted a backstory where the maestro is married to the wardrobe, played by Broadway veteran Audra McDonald. Grand Duke and Stepmother team up, Cinderella. Disney's animated features often had shorter run times than live-action features. To create longer run times, writers and directors often had to add complexity to the simpler storylines. In the 2015 live-action remake of Cinderella, director Kenneth Branagh decided to add a level of palace intrigue to the classic love story. The Grand Duke, played by Stellan Skarsgård, secretly promises a neighboring kingdom that Prince Kit will marry their princess. The Grand Duke also works with Lady Tremaine to keep Cinderella and Prince Kit apart. In exchange, the Grand Duke will make Lady Tremaine a countess and arrange marriages for her daughters to other noblemen. The plan falls apart when, spoilers, Prince Kit discovers the scheme, banishes the Grand Duke and his co-conspirators, and lives happily ever after with Cinderella. More emphasis on human characters. Dumbo. Among the more noticeable changes director Tim Burton made in his adaptation of Dumbo was the removal of many of the animal characters. He replaced them with a human family, the Harriers, who carried much of the story. World War I veteran Holt Harrier, played by Colin Farrell, returns to a family circus and must care for the young elephant. When Dumbo's mother is endangered by an amusement park owner, it's up to Holt, his daughter Millie, and his son Joe, and the circus crew to reunite mother and son. In addition to Farrell, DeVito, and Keaton, the human cast also features Eva Green as a French trapeze artist who works an aerial act with Dumbo. Mad as a Hatter, Alice in Wonderland. From Edward Scissorhands to Dark Shadows, director Tim Burton and actor Johnny Depp have had a working relationship that has spanned nearly 3 decades. Burton and Depp also collaborated on the live-action adaptations of Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass. Burton gave the character of Terrence Hightop, better known as the Mad Hatter, a bigger role to fit Depp's star power. In Burton's version, Hightop loses his family and his village to an attack by the Jabberwock. The post-traumatic stress of these losses causes Hightop to develop a split personality. When his more aggressive feelings emerge, his eyes change color and he takes on a Scottish accent. MC Genie, Aladdin. When you have a performer with the energy of the late great Robin Williams, you let him bring that enthusiasm to his role. When you have a platinum-selling rapper like Will Smith, you let him spit rhymes as only he can. When you bring the Fresh Prince's swagger alongside young Prince Ali of Ababwa, you get something unexpected. Smith brought his vocal stylings to classic songs such as Friend Like Me, Prince Ali, and Arabian Nights. While Smith admittedly doesn't have the vocal chops of Williams or much of the rest of the cast, he does bring his rap game to Friend Like Me. End title. Be prepared not to hear singing, The Lion King. In a musical filled with memorable songs, one of the most impactful was Be Prepared, Scar's song from the original Lion King. Jeffrey Irons, who voiced Scar, gave the song an air of menace and foreboding, while still keeping a light and fun tone throughout the number. In the live-action remake, the song was another casualty of director Jon Favreau's efforts to maintain a realistic setting. Instead of belting out the classic song, actor Chiwetel Ejiofor performed something closer to a spoken word piece over the music. The lyrics for the 2019 version were also changed to reflect changes in the story. The newer version incorporates the hyenas more as willing partners to Scar's efforts, rather than mentally challenged servants. Talking mice, Cinderella. In the original animated version of Cinderella, a group of mice helps Ella sew her dress for the prince's gala ball. Director Kenneth Branagh took a different route. He told Radio Times that he wanted to concentrate the magic into a single visit from the fairy godmother. Also in Branagh's version, the mice don't have any intelligible speech, but let out high-pitched squeaks. Branagh explains that the mice still speak, just at a different speed. I invite those who want to play with the sound speed on their home entertainment system to work out exactly what they say. I promise you there are no swear words in there, but it is interesting dialogue. Dumbo Goes Wild, Dumbo. Although many elements of the classic stories remain timeless, some facets often need to be changed to reflect changing attitudes. In the original Dumbo, Dumbo and his mother stay in the circus and enjoy their lives as headline attractions. In Tim Burton's live-action remake, the ending was changed to reflect changing views on circuses and animal welfare. Burton's version has Dumbo flying out of a circus tent and landing on a dock to be reunited with his mother. The pair then board a ship bound for their homeland where they can live in the wild with other pachyderms. The group PETA gave Burton an award for giving the CGI elephant the happy ending that all captive animals deserve. Age difference: Alice in Wonderland. In both the Lewis Carroll novel and the 1951 original animated feature, the title character of Alice in Wonderland was a preteen girl. Burton made his Alice a young woman of about 19 years old. Why the age boost? Burton's story involved Alice running away after a surprise marriage proposal, then going down the rabbit hole to Wonderland. Screenwriter Linda Wolverton told the New York Times that she wanted Alice to be less of the passive protagonist audiences saw in the original. Maleficent's Kiss. Maleficent. A major benefit to some of these modern remakes is how they turn audience expectations on their heads. For instance, in the original Sleeping Beauty, Princess Aurora pricks her finger, falls asleep, and can only be woken by love's true kiss. In 2014's Maleficent, the princess falls asleep, the prince kisses her, and nothing. But when Maleficent gives the girl a peck on the forehead, she springs back to life. Although Maleficent was the one who cursed Aurora as an infant, she regretted her actions as she got to know the girl, so only her love could reverse the curse. Big differences. Mulan. While we've explored several differences between the animated and live-action films that have already been released, more surprises are in store. Several major characters, including love interest Captain Li Shang and pet dragon Mushu, are reportedly not appearing in the remake. The original villain was also changed from Hun leader Shan Yu to a powerful witch played by Gong Li. Also, many of the original musical numbers will reportedly not show up in the new version. The remake is scheduled to hit theaters on March 27, 2020. So, what do you think? Were these changes necessary? Did they make the live-action films better, or do you prefer the animated versions? Let us know in the comments. Be sure to like this video, share it with your Disney fan friends, and subscribe to The Binger to get notified about our latest videos.